then what happens?
Well, as Lot was fulfilling his hospitable obligations and duties, there was a great knock and a pounding at the door, and I believe the mob was coming to ascend upon his home and to seize.
Who sees what?
Well, that was not entirely clear. They made demands to send us out so that they could get to know us, whereas we understood them to be of ill repute and up to no good.
Was this just a handful of people or a large throng?
This was a sizable number of the city, young and old.
Ah, and so what was Lot's way of handling this situation?
Well, I think Lot found himself in a quandary in that he knew that he could not give up his guest as sacrifices to this mob. And in turn, he thought he could buy some time or buy some leeway by offering up his virgin daughters.
And how did his daughters respond when they heard him say that he would be willing to send them out and that the crowd could do with them as they would?
Well, I can only imagine the terror and the trauma that they must have felt.
And I'm sure his wife felt that terror and trauma too. So we know that that didn't happen because there was a way that you intervened in the situation. So what did you do?
We intervened on behalf of Lot and his family, and we cast our powerful spell upon the mob.
And what exactly did you achieve by using the powers that you have?
Our supernatural powers blinded them.
Yes. Okay. And so that seemed to calm the situation down. And in the morning, what, according to the account, you or your companion grabbed up Lot's daughters and his wife and started them on their way out of the city. And Lot was lingering. Why would Lot be lingering when he knows that there is an urgency to leave the city?
Well, I can only imagine that he had a stake and a vested interest in the losses that he was going to incur upon leaving and fleeing the city of Sodom. He needed to round up his son-in-laws, to gather them and to get them to join him in the escape. He needed to put his matters or business affairs to rest. And I don't think he quite understood the severity and the ominence of what was about to take place. I don't think he quite grasped yet the power and the authority to which we were speaking with.
After all parties had left and were fleeing Sodom, do you think he began to understand, and what caused him to understand?
Well, we made it clear to him in our instructions that if they were to abandon the city by the following morning, they would get out safely, and he needed to negotiate on behalf of some intermediate things that he wanted to do in the city of Zor, which he felt was a safe haven for him to escape to. And we capitulated on that and said we would let him go to Zor, but in the meantime, that they were not to look back under no circumstances were they to turn back around and look back at the city of Sodom. For if they did, the peril and the destruction that took place in Sodom would occur on them as well.
So does anyone look back?
I'm afraid Lot's wife was afflicted with the perils that were cast upon Sodom.
And what happened to her?
She was turned into a pillar of salt.
And did her children and her husband see her, a former living woman, now dried out and a pillar of salt? Did they witness that?
I'm afraid they did.
How traumatic do you think that was?
Well, if you look at the accounts and the testimony of what occurred later, I think it had a grave impact upon the daughters and that they were distraught and that they were now motherless and without future husbands.
Now, I'm just going to ask you one last question, sir, and that